Thank you for embarking on this journey of knowledge through inspiration. After completing the session, you will know why membership to our organization is a good fit for you, and look how our membership would add value to your life and the success of your business. Jim and I will be presenting this orientation session from 2 different continents. My part in this session is to provide an overview on the topic, while Jim will be discussing the pertinent facts. Why orientation training for Skull International? It is a process to introduce new members to our organization while making them aware of our organization's expectations, policy, and history. It also allows us to outline our philosophy, vision, mission, and purpose, share our digital tools, our plans for membership growth, so as to jumpstart a sense of loyalty to our organization. Finding our purpose based on our founding values. The foundation that Skull was founded on is as relevant now as it was in 1934. Trust, collaboration, knowledge of the travel and tourism industry, the ability to share talents and access ideas, network on a platform of like-minded people, and act local but think global. I also use the anagram SKULL as follows: S for sustainable membership, K for knowledge of our organization, A for access to benefits, platforms and other tourist organizations, and of course L for the love of Skull, which we all feel. We really do make authentic connections through trust, friendship, business, and travel. When we look at it on a different view as well, we're looking at branding. And brands are unique entities containing a lot of ethos and the vibe of the company. Good branding is the key to our success, but a brand is not only about a logo or a tagline, but actually how your members behave, how we operate, who we collaborate with. Our brand is our reputation. And as Marty Neumayer says, a brand is a person's gut feel about a product, service, or organization. How do we optimize this at Skull? For me, to optimize our branding, we need to ask the following questions. Who are we? What do we do? What does it matter? And how should we show up in the world? Our members need to be trained so that we can also devise an elevator speech to attract new members. Pitching is like playing a game of cards, and of course you want to win. But what does the win look like? It could be starting a meaningful conversation with a prospect. It could be getting that perfect referral. It may even be knowing that when you deliver, you look like the competent and confident expert you are. But you need the ace. You can establish this ace before your hands are dealt. With A, articulate your message about our organization. C, communicate what you do. E, educate your audience on who you would like to do business with. Jim and I are so excited to be on this journey with you and hope you will enjoy this training session as much as we have been compiling it. Over to you, Jim.
Thank you, Levon. I love working with Levon. I've dubbed her the queen of acronyms. In learning, it's very important to make things easier, and acronyms are mnemonics, which accomplish that, taking the letters of a specific word and turning them into words. So what do we need to know about Skull. What are the ABCs? What are the fundamentals? So here's another acronym. We'll start with the W in the word we. How simple is that? Firstly, we'll talk about the who, what, where, and why of Skull. Well, who are we? Give you a general idea. Skull was started in 1932 with the founding of the first Skull Club in Paris. It was promoted by a friendship arising when a group of travel agents got together to promote a flight from Amsterdam to Copenhagen to Malmo. So there you have three countries right there, the Netherlands, Denmark, and Sweden. And the club was actually founded in December 1932. But keep in mind, this was just a Skull Club. This is not Skull International. That came a couple of years later. So 1932, the Skull Club of Paris was founded in December. And one of the prime movers in the foundation of Skull was a gentleman called Florimond Volkart. Now, Florimond Volkart was a young man. He was about 34 years old when he got involved in this meeting in Paris. And when you're researching things for a podcast, you learn the most interesting things. To me, anyway. He was not the first president of the Skull Club of Paris. A gentleman by the name of Hugo Kraft, Krafft, was the acting president, along with Pierre Soulier and Florimond Volkart. They had the initial idea earlier in the year of 1932. And more interesting, the 5 original Skull members were Hugo Kraft, who worked for the Swedish-American line, Jules Moore of KLM, my company I worked for almost 30 years, Pierre Soulier of Air Union, Florimond Volkart from Wagon-Lit, and Georges Itier from Ex-Printer, a Swede, a Dutchman, a Frenchman, a Belgian, and a Brazilian. Already we had a global look. So that's the foundation of Skull. Now, who else should you know about? You should know who your current leaders are. We have a Skull president, that's Burçin Türkan, who is the Skull International president for this year, and she's also a longtime member of Skull Atlanta. And you will hear from her, hopefully maybe at the end of this podcast or in the very near future. We have the vice president currently and next year's Skull president. That's Juan Steta, Steta. And Juan is a proud member of the Mexico City Skull Club and a good friend. After that, we have 3 directors from Skull Turku in Finland. We have Marja Eila Kaskinen from Skull Turku. From Skull Panama, we have Annette Cardenas. And from Skull Melbourne, Denise Grafton. They all have their individual duties. It could be PR, it could be sponsorship, it could be membership. But you'll learn more about that. We'll have them on podcasts in the future. So you have the president, Burçin. We have Juan Steta, next year's president, the vice president, 3 directors. And so what else do we have? We have currently an International Skull Council. Currently, all of the Skull countries are represented by a Skull Council. And the position of the counselor, they are the liaison between the international board and the local and national board. The term for the International Skull Council is a 2-year term with a maximum of 6 years. And they, as I said, they present the views of the national and area committee to the international and vice versa. So it's an important post. So aside from the foundation of Skull, aside from your international, you should also get to know your national board. Obviously, with the number of countries, I can't go through each one individually, but Again, in future podcasts, we intend to have national presidents and prominent members of other skull clubs around the world come on and talk about their club, their country, and more entertainment, more enlightenment. All right. Thirdly, you should already know this, but who are your local club officers? Get to know them. Get to know your president, your VP, your treasurer, secretary, and your membership officer. That's important. What do they do? What are their positions? Let your members in your club know what you do. One of our mottos is doing business among friends, among members. So knowing what you do is just as important as knowing what they do, so you can work together. I've been to meetings and clubs where half the club doesn't know the other half because they don't get up and tell each one what they do. So it's important to network during a meeting, after a meeting, before a meeting. Just let everyone know what you do. It's better for you personally and professionally. Every skull member is responsible for membership. We have right now about 42, 43 categories in skull that is eligible for membership. And I guarantee you that every single one of us knows another person in one of those 42 categories, right? So if you do, become a skull disciple. Preach the skull doctrine. After this, you should have a lot more knowledge than you had before it. Go out there and tell your friends in the industry, the leaders, the presidents, directors, etc., why they should join skull. Bring them to a meeting. Let them learn firsthand. Get them to network with your other members. Now, networking, critical, absolutely critical in skull. Do it locally, all right? Do a presentation for your club. Let them know who you are and what you do. Nationally, you can attend a national meeting. Not only the president goes to the national meetings, not only the International Skull Council, you can attend a national meeting. A lot of members do that. Get to know members from other clubs. And internationally, once again, we have a World Congress every single year. We just had a great one in Croatia, in Opatija. And next year, in December, we're having it in Quebec, in Canada. It's going to be great. They're going to start the Winter Carnival early for us. It'll be a great opportunity for you to go up there, network. It will change you. It will change you, again, professionally and personally. Your network will grow exponentially. Why not form a group of your members? Either go to a Congress or visit another club. I was struck one time where I was at a meeting in a country, I won't name it, and the member of the club, the president of the club we were visiting said they had not been visited by another club. I was with a group of Skull New Jersey members. I'm a member of Skull New Jersey. And we were there, and he said, we've never been visited by another club. And I found that astounding. I mean, that's what Skull is all about. It's about friendship. It's about networking. It's about getting to know your other members. For the record, Skull New Jersey has visited 32 clubs in 16 years. We were cut short because of the pandemic, but we're back at it again. We visited Panama this year, and next year, we don't know yet. But send your bids. We're happy to visit you. All right. The pandemic was horrible in certain places. It's still going strong. But one thing that made it a little bit bearable was Zoom. I don't have to tell you about it, but what I'm saying is that it's an amazing instrument that made the skull world so much smaller. It's, again, a great networking tool for local, national, international contexts. Clubs have used clubs have used Zoom to twin during the pandemic. Again, I'll talk about Skull, New Jersey. We used it to twin with Garden Route in South Africa and Mexico City. And hopefully in 2023, we'll be able to visit both of those clubs personally. All right, what we plan to do in podcasts, we're going to have a little fun with this. We're going to ask a couple of questions during the podcast. So, when and where was Skull founded? I'll give you 5 seconds. 2, 1. All right, 1932 in Paris, in December of 1932. Who was the first Skull president? This is Skull International now, not a trick. I could say Hugo Kraft was the first president of Skull Paris, but Floorman Volkart was the first Skull International president. Who is the current Skull International president, and to which club do they belong? And that again is Berchan Turkan from Skull Atlanta. Okay. All right, the second W in Skull, in we rather, is what is Skull? To quote what it says on our website, Skull International is the only professional organization promoting global tourism and friendship, uniting all sectors of the tourism industry. Our vision statement, we are to be the trusted voice in travel and tourism. And right now, more than ever, we're forming committees that will bring this out to the various countries that we are associated with. Skull will be doing more globally concerning the exploitation of children. We currently have a committee dedicated to this extremely important global matter. But going forward, we will try to do more to make Skull known around the world. Our mission statement. Through our leadership, professionalism, and friendship, work together to achieve our vision, maximize networking opportunities, and support a responsible tourism industry. Keywords again, friendship, networking, responsible tourism. You'll hear more about that. Okay, I mentioned earlier that Skull has over 40 eligible categories. Let us focus on a few of them. Hoteliers, for example, comprise almost 1/3 of Skull members, with about 3,200 members. We will have, again, it's going to sound like a broken record, but we will have representatives from the various categories come on in our podcast, tell you what they do, promote themselves, promote their countries, and you'll hear from them, possibly at the end of this podcast. All right, again, there are about 750 tour operators in Skull. The key thing in Skull is working together. So tour operators need travel agents, they need hoteliers, and vice versa. It's all joined together. This applies to all of our other categories as well. Often a tour operator will join Skull because his or her client are a member of a club. And diversity. Diversity can be a lot of different things. It can be age, it can be gender, race, occupation. It's important in Skull clubs to have a diverse group in all of these categories if possible. And to use the old French phrase, vive la différence. We need diversity to gain strength. Try to get your club involved in various things in your committee. What does Skull stand for? Our motto, as hopefully you know already, is happiness, good health, friendship, a long life. And we end that toast with Skull. We give this toast at every Skull meeting. In international, we do it in 3 official languages. I'll talk about that in about 5 minutes. For many of us, though, the key to this motto, to this toast, is friendship. The organization was founded on friendship, and oddly enough, until the 21st century, well, almost, I guess, the end of the 20th century, members were not allowed to discuss business at meetings. So it was all friendship. Business had to be spoken before, maybe, but not at the official meeting. And it's the only one of our four tenets that's an inclusive factor. Every other part of it, happiness, good health, and long life, only one person. Friendship, more than one. All right, the official languages are English, French, and Spanish. At official Skull International functions, the Skull Toast is given in all three languages. In addition, at the World Congress, the Skull Toast may also be given in the language of the host country. As I mentioned earlier, this year, in October, our Skull Congress was in Croatia. So very frequently you heard the Skull Toast being done in Croatian. Now, is Skull charitable? Yes, although we have our own charity, which, again, I'll get to in a moment. We want every single Skull Club to have their own charity, whether it's a educational institution or a homeless shelter, whatever the case may be. It's actually one of the criterium for Skull Club of the Year is donating to a charity. But we have our own charity. It's the Floorman Volkert Fund, named after first Skull International President Floorman Volkert. It was set up in 1954 to provide assistance to Skull members and their immediate families who were in serious need of assistance. How does it work? If a Skull League is in need, an application, which can be found on skull.org, should be sent by the president of that Skull League's club to one of the three trustees at Skull International. Three trustees are past presidents of Skull International. They will analyze and look at the application and decide whether or not they can give that Skull member help. I know many cases where something drastic has happened. Could be a death in the family, loss of a job, some kind of natural disaster, flooding. The Skull has always, in my opinion, come to the help of that Skull League. Okay, let's see. Yeah, and with that said, the Floorman Volkert Fund needs our contribution. So we urge every Skull Club in the world to contribute to we call it the FVF, Floorman Volkert Fund. And not only not only the clubs, but individual members are graciously accepted as well. All right, back to my three questions. It won't take long. What is the Skull Toast? You'll hear it at every meeting. You should know it. You'll be asked to do it at a meeting, I hope. Happiness, good health, friendship, long life. Okay, and what are the three official languages of Skull? English, French, and Spanish. And if we haven't named this person enough already, what is the name of the fund established to help needy Skull members? That's the Floorman Volkert Fund, the FVF. All right, the third W in Skull. Where is Skull? It could be in your local hometown, but where is it? In Skull, we have over 13,000 members right now, entailing the industry's managers and executives. We have 311 Skull Clubs currently in 86 countries. You can find this on our skull.org website. We'll get into that in a second. We're on 6 continents, and new clubs are opening every year. On the Skull database, you can find information about clubs all over the world. And I don't know about everybody in Skull. When I travel, I always look to see if there's a Skull Club in my destination. If there is, I reach out, I contact them. So keep that in mind. If you're doing it or you know a member who's traveling, tell them, we have a Skull Club there. Reach out to the president, the secretary of the club. I've been known on social media to see other Skull Leagues traveling and just send them a quick instant message saying, oh, by the way, have you contacted such and such? And I'd say maybe half the time, oh, no, I didn't think of it. Well, think of it. It brings benefits. I'll tell you why. You can meet with your friends at your local restaurant, or why not meet with the Paris Club at a restaurant on the Champs-Élysées? Or enjoy a great meal with Skull Roma within steps of St. Peter's Square or the Colosseum. It's all there for you. I mean, I can't stress this enough. You're part of an organization now that is a global family of friends and travel leaders. They will, I guarantee you, help you professionally and personally. All right, going forward, again, I mentioned it, we will feature club presidents and their members and showcase their club and their countries. Why? Because it's important. It's important to know what they do, why they're members of Skull, and just promote their country. All right, where can we find most Skull information? Skull.org. Skull.org, I think, I may be wrong, the current version started in the end of 2019 and was online in January 2020. Now you have a possibility of doing one login, and if your club has a link to the Skull.org, in other words, download and do a clone, so to speak, of Skull.org, say Skull Phoenix or Skull Turku, you can log in and you will be instantly connected with your national and the international website. So one login and you're connected all the way from local up to the international website. So there you can find information, again, about the database, which is invaluable. You'll have access to Skull documents. You'll have access to applications, events, benefits. All of these great things are on Skull.org. Just go on there, look around. You'll love it. Great training videos have been created by dear friend Scully Dennis Smith from Skull Winnipeg. If you go to skullcanada.org, you'll see some of them. How to Network is one of them, which I really, really love. So just do it. Just play around with it if you have time. Go in there. You'll see a lot of things that you didn't know. I mean, I found a lot of things for this podcast there. All right, so 3 questions about the where of Skull. Right, to the nearest 1,000, how many members are there in Skull? Currently, it's ever-changing. So currently we have over 13,000. All right, where can you find most Skull information? I just said it, skull.org. Trick question, on what continent are there no Skull clubs? Drum roll, brrr, Antarctica. Well, maybe we'll start one there. All right. We said there's 4 W's, all right? There was the who, what, where, and why. All right, why you're going to hear from Skull members around the world in upcoming podcasts. Why have they joined Skull? Why did they stay in Skull? What does Skull do for them, etc., etc. My answer to why is why not? You just heard about a global association of hospitality and tourism leaders who do business together. Honestly, in my opinion, there's no better tourism network association in the world. You'll be part of a global family. I mean that. And can reach out at any time to any club. I do it all the time. I may be in the minority. Not that I'm lonely or in need of friends, but it's something that you should be doing. You have the opportunity to attend a Skull meeting anywhere in the world where there's a Skull Club. And once again, I'll repeat it again and again and again. In future podcasts, you'll hear directly from other Skull global leaders. It's important. You've got to know who you have in Skull. Some of the most prominent industry leaders are members of Skull all around the world. and we will feature them on future podcasts. All right, just to finish up, we did the W in Skull. The E is kind of a simple one. On these podcasts, we want to engage you. We want to send out information in advance. We don't want you to say, I know all that. No, we're going to try to keep things fresh and interesting. We want to enlighten you. I'm telling you something. When I look at skull.org and I'm looking for something, this is something new I learn every day about Skull. So we will enlighten you. We'll educate you. If something new happens in Skull, we'll be the first to tell you about it. You can read about it. Yeah, we'll post it on social media. We'll send you an email. But we'll talk about it. We'll have, other Skull members, maybe have a panel. And you can call in and talk to us directly. And fourthly, hopefully we'll entertain you. It's not going to be, hopefully it won't be boring. I can't promise that, but if I have anything to do with it, it won't be boring. So the 4 E's, we have the W's, the who, what, where, and why of Skull. And the 4 E's, we have engage, enlighten, entertain, and what was the last one? Educate. So that's the W and E. And we need you. We need your feedback. So you're critical in this whole operation. All right. We need you to tell us what you'd like to see and hear. Are we doing things? Are we telling you what you want to hear? Is there more? Are the podcasts too long? Do you want to have a little longer? We will probably be doing some webinars as well. I urge you again to, if you're not doing Zoom sessions and you're back doing in-person meetings, I'm loving it, but don't forget Zoom, because Zoom gives you the opportunity to communicate with the whole world. All right, so thank you for tuning in, and until next time, Skull, everyone.
Dear colleagues, I am Juan Steta, Skull International President for 2023. It is my honor and privilege to welcome you. Skull, apart from being the largest and elder tourism organization in the world, is the most exciting and interesting association which comprises owners, directors, and high-level executives of the hospitality industry. Our principle, doing business amongst friends, is not just, let me say, a corporate slogan, but a true statement. Nowhere in the world you will find such an amicable organization. Should you be able to join any of our 310 clubs around the world in one of their monthly meetings, or better said, in one of their monthly gatherings, you will be treated as a true friend, even though you have just met other fellow colleagues. You will not only be introduced, but you will most certainly have the opportunity to present yourself and your business. When we toast for happiness, good health, friendship, and long life, which truly reflects the Skull spirit. For this, I give you the most warmest welcome. As we say in Mexico, con un fuerte abrazo Skull, sean bienvenidos.